Edition of the news on CMTV. Now our headlines. C.D.C. plantation protests on land grabbing by workers. Next, regional elections, Douala bike riders on the protest. Third, on international human rights, Ivory Coast rejects Africa Court order. And on health, still on international news, China boasts new disease. And lastly, on CONNECTYU Buzz, our top 5 popular news stories, which are shocking murder of 2 slaughters her child and cooks as pepper soup. Next, why good governance is key to all readiness. And lastly, interview. On C.D.C plantation, some workers of the Cameroon Development Corporation, C.D.C, lament over the recent destruction of palm plantations by some personers claiming to have legal rights from the government. Barrister Gonji Ikomi, C.D.C Legal Counsel, claims Secretary General of Bakri Land, Claims Association said some persons are taking the opportunity of the Anglophone crisis to carry out rough activities like the forceful claims of lands belonging to the C.D.C, which is causing a mass economic low output. Reports say these illegal acts of these persons have severely brought down the corporation at 150 million francs CFA with over 378 million losses, which will be realized for paying workers of those sections. A Fakon native and human rights supporter say it is bad that the C.D.C is trying and managing together with government aid and devoutness of some workers to keep the corporation going. Some individuals and chiefs of the area are busy trying to steal lands and felling palm trees. He laments that the C.D.C is a state-owned corporation and seeing young growing palms destroyed is a call for concern, as over 24,000 workers solely depend on the corporation for survival together with their families. A witness recounts that plantations in villages like Limbola, Ndonga in Tiko, Batoke, and Bonadikomba are victims of this sad display. Earlier this month, some workers protest about fear of the Anglophone crisis in the plantation and recent drop in output. The workers said they got the Minister of State Property and Land Tenure, Jacqueline Kong, to sign a ministerial order suspending the C.D.C land surrender, but to no avail. In response to this, the government has promised the entire population of these villages involved in tracking down those involved in the illegal activities for their personal gains. Next, on regional elections, Douala bike riders on a protest. Hundreds of bike riders from the economic capital of Cameroon, Douala, came out to protest yesterday, Thursday, September 17, 2020, against Professor Maurice Kamto's nationwide protest on September 22nd. The bike riders on the protest yesterday were carrying the portrait of President Biya and Cameroon flags all over the economic city against the September 22nd protest announced by the leader of the CRM political party. Meanwhile, certain lawyers and 5 civil society organizations in Cameroon has rejected and distanced themselves from Professor Maurice Kamto's call for a nationwide protest. The government has continued to encourage the general population not to be in fear as the December 6, 2020 regional elections of councillors approaches, as they will ensure maximum security on that day. And on to this, we'll take on international news after the break. Welcome back. Out of the country on human rights, Ivory Coast rejects Africa court order. Ivory Coast has withdrawn from African Human Rights Court, saying the court has underestimated its power. The decision followed severe actions as Tiemoka Toure, the government spokesman and communication minister, said lately on Wednesday. The African court has allowed itself in its actions and also underestimates its authority and the Ivorian justice system. In a report last week, the African court ordered Ivory Coast to suspend its arrest warrant for Guillaume Soro and to release 19 of his relatives who have been in prison for over months now. Meanwhile, a warrant arrest was issued to Soro, former parliament speaker, after he made known public his candidacy for October 31, 2020 presidential elections, which led to his sentence in absentia on Tuesday to 20 years in prison. Recounts of witnesses say the former prime minister, 47 years of age, was also found guilty of embezzlement of public funds. Away from that, Benin, an African country, had earlier announced its withdrawal from the protocol that allowed a citizen of a state to directly appeal to the African court. Still out of the country on health, China boasts new disease. After the world's preventive measures in fighting COVID-19 said to have originated from China, here comes another dangerous disease originating still from China. A disease known as brucellosis has affected thousands of people in northwest China. The Health Commission personnel and authorities reported on Tuesday that over 3,246 people have been tested positive for the bacterial disease. They also said the disease is caused by contact with livestock carrying the bacteria, which when contacted by humans can cause symptoms like headaches, muscle pain, fatigue, and fever. But when one thinks the symptoms are subsiding, it only gets worse and chronic or never go away, like swelling in certain parts of the body and arthritis. The general population are in deep fear of this disease as medical personnel are doing their best to find a cure to this deadly disease. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization assures the entire nation to keep following the preventive measures in fighting COVID-19. And on to this brings us to the end of international news. We'll be right back on the top most popular news stories on CONNECTYU Buzz. On today's bring us to the top most popular news stories on CONNECTYU Buzz in order of merit. First article written by Marrie Glow Info, titled "Shocking: Mother of 2 slaughters and cook one of her child," with over 61 views, goes thus. Shocking story and images from Pitu in Banjego village in the northwest region of Cameroon, where a mother of 2 children kills and prepares one of her 6-month-old child as pepper soup. Log into CONNECTYU Buzz through Google Chrome and get more details of how the mob treated her and how the forces of law handled the matter. Next on the top popular articles is titled "Why Good Governance is Key to All Readiness," written by admin with about 48 views. States: the events of 2020 have opened the world's eyes to digital transformation as never before. Despite many people not being aware of the term, remote learning, working and socializing has seen people embrace more technology than ever. Get more knowledge of this on CONNECTYU Buzz. Furthermore, the third most popular news stories on CONNECTYU Buzz states: interview: how technology is changing the face of fundraising, written by admin with over 40 views, writes: Clarities in the know have been using technology to boost their fundraising abilities for years, whether it's through live streaming, virtual auctions, or crowdfunding. But it wasn't truly until the COVID-19 pandemic that these organizations had to solely rely on the digital sphere. With this in mind, a non-profit fundraising platform founded by 2 South Africans, Given Gain, decided that any charity or fundraiser can use its technology free of charge, connecting them with socially aware new generation of Generation Z charity supporters. Get more enlightened and educated on these by logging into CONNECTYU Buzz. Last on the list, titled "CPBM Party: An Act of Solidarity Towards Mbo Hinterlands," published by Marrie Glow Info with about 29 views, writes: CPDM party members known as the Rainbow from Guti subdivision to stir solidarity and love to the downcast people of Mbo Hinterlands. As a response to their crisis, have donated gifts both in cash and food items. See more images of these and read full story on CONNECTYU Buzz. This brings us to the end of the 10:30 a.m. news on CMTV. It was edited and supervised by Quine Chamba and presented by Mbongni Marie. Stay tuned for more interesting programs on CMTV and do have a blessed week.